What really happens in the 10 heavens? The truth no one preaches. When we look up at the night sky, we see a vast, glittering expanse of stars. We call this the heavens. But the Bible hints at a reality far more complex, layered, and populated than the physical universe we observe with telescopes. The Apostle Paul spoke of a man, likely himself, who was caught up to the third heaven. 2 Corinthians chapter 12-2. King Solomon declared, "The heaven and the heaven of heavens cannot contain you." 1 Kings chapter 8:27. Ephesians chapter 4:10 says Jesus ascended higher than all the heavens. These verses reveal a startling truth. Heaven is not a flat, singular place. It is a multidimensional hierarchy, a vertical landscape of increasing glory, power, and holiness. Ancient Judeo-Christian wisdom and apocalyptic literature have long described this structure not as a chaotic void, but as a meticulously ordered kingdom with specific realms, often described as the 10 heavens. Why is this rarely preached? Because it challenges our simple Sunday school understanding. It forces us to grapple with the sheer scale of God's majesty. It requires us to look beyond the veil. In this extensive exploration of biblical wisdom, we will ascend the ladder of creation. We will move from the atmosphere we breathe to the throne room where the seraphim burn. We will explore what really happens in each level, the beings that reside there, and the purpose they serve in God's eternal plan. Prepare your spirit. We are leaving the earth behind. Number 1. The first heaven. The canopy of breath and beginnings. The journey begins where we stand. The first heaven is the most tangible, yet it is the veil that hides the rest. It is the firmament of Genesis 8. The atmospheric sky that wraps the earth like a garment. The realm of biological life. This is the domain of the clouds, the winds, and the birds of the air. It is the visible heaven. Psalm 19:1 declares, "The heavens declare the glory of God. The skies proclaim the work of his hands." In this first heaven, God displays his artistry. Every sunset, every thunderstorm, every rainbow is a projection of spiritual truth onto a physical canvas. The function, the womb of the earth. The first heaven acts as a womb. It contains the oxygen we need to breathe. It holds the water cycle that sustains life. It shields us from the harsh radiation of the cosmos. Spiritually, this represents the grace of common providence. God causes his sun to rise on the evil and the good. Matthew chapter 5:45. The first heaven is the realm where God sustains biological life, even for those who do not know him. The limitation. However, the first heaven is passing away. It is rolled up like a scroll. Revelation chapter 6:14. It is the realm of the temporary. Most of humanity lives their entire lives looking no higher than this ceiling, obsessed with the weather, the climate, and the atmosphere, never realizing that the true action is happening just above the clouds. Number 2, the second heaven, the battlefield of angels and darkness. As we ascend beyond the atmosphere, we enter a darker, more volatile realm. This is the second heaven, often identified as the celestial regions or outer space, but spiritually it is known as the battlefield, the prince of the power of the air. Ephesians 2:2 calls Satan the prince of the power of the air. Ephesians chapter 6-12 tells us our struggle is against spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms. Where are these realms? They are not in hell. Satan is not in hell yet. He goes there at the end. They are not in the third heaven, God's throne. They occupy this intermediate state, the second heaven, the iron wall. In ancient biblical wisdom, this realm is seen as a blockade. When Daniel prayed in Babylon, the angel Gabriel was dispatched immediately, but he was detained for 21 days by the Prince of Persia, Daniel 10:13. Where did this fight happen? In the second heaven. This realm is a war zone. It is where territorial spirits, principalities, and powers set up their garrisons to block the prayers of the saints from ascending, and the answers of God from descending. What happens here? Right now in the second heaven, there is a clash of swords. Holy angels are warring to deliver messages to earth. Fallen angels are broadcasting lies, accusations, and ideologies down to humanity. When you feel a heaviness in prayer, you are encountering the resistance of the second heaven. When you break through in prayer, you have punched a hole through this canopy of darkness to reach the throne. Number 3, the third heaven, paradise and the garden that never died. This is the realm Paul visited. It is the destination of the righteous dead. It is paradise, the restoration of Eden. The third heaven is often associated with the Garden of Eden. When Adam was banished, Eden wasn't destroyed, it was withdrawn. It exists now in the third heaven. This is where the tree of life currently grows. This is where the great cloud of witnesses, Hebrews 12:1, resides. What happens here? Rest. The saints rest from their labors. Revelation 14:13. Comfort. Lazarus is comforted in Abraham's bosom. Luke 16. Reunion. This is the gathering place of the family of God. The atmosphere of the third heaven. Unlike the second heaven, there is no war here. There is no night. The light does not come from a sun, but from the emanation of God's glory from the higher heavens. If you could step into the third heaven right now, you would smell fragrances that don't exist on earth. You would hear music that heals the soul instantly. This is the waiting room of glory, where the spirits of just men, made perfect, wait for the resurrection of their bodies. Number 4, the fourth heaven. The heavenly storehouses and celestial signs. As we move higher, we enter the administrative realm of the cosmos. The fourth heaven is described in ancient wisdom as the place of the heavenly luminaries and the Akul, storehouses of God's physical judgments. The celestial machinery. Genesis 1:14 says, God placed lights in the expanse of the heavens to serve as signs. The fourth heaven is the command center for the physical universe. It is where the spiritual laws that govern physics are maintained. Psalm 147:4 says, He determines the number of the stars and calls them each by name. The storehouses. In Job 38:22-23, God asks Job, Have you entered the storehouses of the snow, or seen the storehouses of the hail, which I reserve for times of trouble, for days of war and battle? The Bible speaks of storehouses for the wind, the rain, and the hail. This suggests a spiritual dimension where the physical elements are prepared before they are released on earth. What happens here? Angelic beings in this realm are tasked with the maintenance of cosmic order. They oversee the orbits, the seasons, and the cycles of time. When Joshua prayed for the sun to stand still, Joshua 10. The command was executed from this realm. The fourth heaven is where the clock of the universe is managed. Number 5. The fifth heaven, the realm of holy angels and the songs of eternity. We now cross a threshold into a place of intense spiritual activity. The fifth heaven is often described as the barracks of the hosts or the realm of the watchers. The angelic community. While demons occupy the second heaven, the fifth heaven is a dwelling place for myriads of holy angels who are not currently deployed to earth. Revelation 5:11 describes 10,000 times 10,000 and thousands of thousands of angels. This is a place of thunderous sound. It is where the armies of God gather before they are dispatched. The songs of eternity. In this realm, the primary activity is antiphonal worship. Angels cry out, "Holy, holy, holy," to one another. The sound is not just noise, it is power. The vibration of this worship holds the creation together. When a sinner repents on earth, the celebration erupts here. Luke 15:10. The joy of the fifth heaven cascades down to the lower realms. The Watchers, Daniel 4 mentions watchers, holy ones who come down from heaven to decree judgment on kings like Nebuchadnezzar. This realm is their station. They watch the affairs of men, recording history not in books of paper, but in the archives of heaven. Number 6. The sixth heaven, the thrones, authorities, and watchers of God. The air becomes thinner here. The holiness becomes heavier. We enter the sixth heaven, the realm of high governance. The administrative angels, Colossians 1:16, speaks of thrones or powers or rulers or authorities. While these terms can apply to demons, they primarily refer to the hierarchy of God's kingdom. In the sixth heaven, the archangels and high-ranking spirits receive the decrees from the throne. This is the Oval Office of the universe's administration, the Library of Heaven. Ancient wisdom suggests this is the location of the books. The Book of Life, the books of all deeds, Revelation 20:12, the Book of Tears, Psalm 56:8. Angels in this realm are the scribes of eternity. Every word you speak, every tear you cry, every act of kindness is recorded here. Nothing is lost. What happens here? The legal proceedings of the universe are prepared. The cases of the saints are organized before they are presented to the judge. Number 7. The seventh heaven, the fiery glory, and the chambers of divine justice. For many traditions, the seventh heaven is the top, but in the 10-heaven structure, it is the threshold of the divine essence. It is the realm of fire. The river of fire. Daniel chapter 7:10 describes the scene. A river of fire was flowing, coming out from before him. The seventh heaven is filled with this purifying fire. No sin can exist here. This is why Isaiah cried out, "Woe to me, I am ruined," when he saw the Lord, Isaiah 6. He was encountering the atmosphere of the upper heavens, the chambers of justice. This is where the great white throne judgment will eventually be seated. It is a place of absolute, terrifying clarity. The sea of glass mingled with fire, Revelation 15:2, is often associated with this level. It represents the transparency of God's judgment. Nothing is hidden. The fire burns away all pretense. What happens here? Purification. The angels that minister here, the seraphim, literally burning ones, dip themselves in this fire. When Isaiah needed to be cleansed, a seraph took a coal from this altar. The seventh heaven is the kiln where holiness is forged. Number 8. The eighth heaven, the realm of the tree of life and rivers of immortality. We are now moving into the heaven of heavens, the realms that touch the very nature of God. The eighth heaven is often called Muzaloth in some traditions, or the realm of changing seasons of eternity. The source of life. While the third heaven contains the location of paradise, the eighth heaven contains the source of its power. This is where the river of the water of life begins its flow. Revelation 22:1. It is the reservoir of immortality, the healing of the nations. In this realm, the healing virtue of God is concentrated. When Jesus healed the sick on earth, he was pulling power from this dimension. It is a realm of perpetual renewal. The stars and constellations find their spiritual archetypes here. It is the blueprint room of creation, where the DNA of the universe is held in the mind of God. Number 9. The ninth heaven, the hidden dwelling of the elect angels and ancient mysteries. The ninth heaven is the Kuchavim, stars, or the homes of the 12 signs. But spiritually, it is the realm of mystery. The secret things. Deuteronomy 29:29 says, "The secret things belong to the Lord our God." The ninth heaven is the vault of God's mysteries, the things he has not yet revealed to humanity. The timing of the end, the full understanding of the Trinity, the new name written on the white stone that no one knows but the one who receives it. Revelation chapter 2:17. The retinue of the King. This is the dwelling place of the deepest, most ancient spirits, beings we do not even have names for. They do not minister to earth. They minister only to God. They are the inner circle. What happens here? Silence. Not the silence of emptiness, but the silence of awe. It is the silence of Habakkuk 2:20. The Lord is in his holy temple. Let all the earth be shoutant before him. Number 10. The 10th heaven, the face of God and the throne above all realms. We have arrived, the Aravoth, the highest heaven. This is the dwelling place of the Most High God, the throne room. Ezekiel 1 and Revelation chapter 4 give us the only glimpses human language can handle. A throne of sapphire, lapis lazuli, a rainbow resembling an emerald encircling the throne, lightning and peals of thunder. The 4 living creatures, Zoa, covered in eyes, screaming, "Holy, holy, holy," the face of God. This is the realm of the beatific vision. 1 Timothy 6:16 says God lives in unapproachable light. In the 10th heaven, God is not doing anything in the sense of labor. He is. He is radiating existence. He is holding the atoms of the universe together by the word of his power. Hebrews 1:3. The Lamb in the center. Crucially, for the Christian, the 10th heaven is where the Lamb, Jesus, is seated at the right hand of the Father. He is there right now, bearing the scars of the crucifixion. What happens here? Intercession. Hebrews 7:25 says Jesus lives always to intercede for us. From the highest point of reality, the 10th heaven, the name of the humblest believer on earth is spoken by the Son to the Father. Conclusion. Where heaven touches your story. Why does this matter? Why climb the 10 heavens? because it changes how you view your life on Earth. You are not just a biological organism fighting for survival on a rock spinning in space. You are a citizen of this vast, layered, majestic kingdom. Ephesians chapter 2:6 declares the most impossible truth of all. And God raised us up with Christ and seated us with him in the heavenly realms. Spiritually, you are not stuck in the first heaven. Through Christ, you have access to the 10th heaven. When you pray, you bypass the second heaven. When you worship, you join the 5th heaven. When you trust Jesus, your name is written in the 6th heaven. And one day, you will stand in the 10th heaven, and you will see his face. The heavens are not far away. They are just a breath away. Look up. The sky is full of glory, and the King is on his throne. A prayer of ascent. Lord of the heavens, I am in awe of your majesty. The heaven of heavens cannot contain you, yet you chose to dwell in my heart. Thank you for seating me with Christ in heavenly places. Open my eyes to the reality of the unseen world. Let me live on earth with the perspective of heaven. I worship you, the high and lofty one, the King of the 10 heavens and the King of my heart. In Jesus' name, Amen.